The last words she said before slamming the door still echo in my skull. Stop asking about my plans, Michael. Jesus, it's exhausting. The echo came with the sharp slam of the front door, then the lingering tremor of silence. You know, the kind that feels heavier than noise, like the air itself knows something you don't. That silence stayed long after her car engine faded down the street. That was 3 months ago, the night I stopped asking. First, it was supposed to be respect. Space. She'd been different lately, quieter, distant, like she was living half a life somewhere else. Every time I asked what was wrong, I got that same dead stare, the same practiced sigh. You're suffocating me, she'd whisper. And I'd back off. We used to talk about everything: music, childhood plans. Now it was weather and groceries. She'd started wearing perfume at odd hours, makeup when she said she was just running errands. But I told myself not to become that guy, the paranoid husband checking her phone, timing her showers. So I stopped asking. And the less I asked, the less she gave. The less she gave, the more I wondered who she was giving to. It wasn't one moment that broke me. It was the small things. The girl's night text that came at 11:42 p.m. The unexplained Uber receipts on her phone when she'd left her car at the spa. The sudden bursts of laughter in another room that ended when I entered. And every time I swallowed it. Told myself marriage was about trust. Told myself people go through phases. Told myself like a fool that love could survive silence. Then 2 weeks ago, she told me she'd be visiting her friend in Orlando. 3 days, she said. A girls' retreat, self-care, yoga, the whole routine. Her suitcase was lighter than usual, but her perfume was heavier. That night I booked my own flight to Miami. Not for revenge. Not even for distraction. Just for air. I needed to remember what it felt like to exist outside her orbit. Friday. Miami. The ocean had that metallic shimmer under the setting sun, and for the first time in months, I felt like I could breathe without permission. I sat at a rooftop bar, drink sweating between my hands, trying not to check my phone. Then it buzzed. A message from her. Hope you're not working too hard. Miss you. I laughed. Out loud. The audacity of it felt absurd. She hadn't said miss you in months. That's when my friend Ethan, who lived in Miami, slapped me on the back. You look like someone who just saw a ghost. Something like that, I muttered. He grinned. Forget her, man. We're hitting the Viceroy tonight. Music, drinks, maybe a few bad decisions. I wasn't in the mood, but I went anyway. Anything was better than sitting alone in my own head. The Viceroy was noise and heat and perfume that clung to sweat. The music thumped through my ribs. I was halfway through my second drink when Ethan elbowed me. Yo, isn't that? His voice trailed off. I turned. The air seemed to congeal. There she was. At the other end of the bar. My wife. Hair tied back, red dress. The one I'd bought her for our anniversary. She laughed at something the man beside her said. A tall guy, tan, expensive watch, his hand resting on her thigh like it belonged there. My mouth went dry. My mind refused to catch up with my eyes. No, couldn't be. She said Orlando. She said yoga. She said. Her head tilted, eyes scanning the crowd, and for half a second our gazes collided. And she froze. The silence between us stretched across the club, louder than the music. Her face drained of color. The man beside her turned, confused. She whispered something, then bolted. I followed. Through the crowd, through the lobby, out into the humid night where her heels clicked like gunshots on the pavement. Lisa, I called. She stopped but didn't turn. Don't, she said, voice trembling. Don't make a scene. My voice cracked. A scene? You're in Miami with him. You lied. She finally turned. Tears glimmered but didn't fall. You weren't supposed to be here. That line hit harder than any confession. Not I can explain. Not it's not what it looks like. Just you weren't supposed to be here. I felt my throat tighten. So it's true. Her silence was the answer. We stood there for what felt like an hour, under the neon glow of betrayal. Why? I finally asked. My voice was barely human. Was it me? Did I? She shook her head. No, it wasn't you. It was everything. The noise. The questions. I felt like I was drowning. So you cheated instead of talking to me? I didn't plan it, Michael, she whispered. It just happened. That line, so ordinary, so cruelly human, cut deeper than any shouted excuse. I laughed. Bitter, broken. You just happened to end up in Miami with him instead of yoga with your friends? Her lips trembled. I needed to feel alive again. The worst part? I understood. Because I'd felt dead for months too. We didn't fight. Not really. We just stood in the sticky Miami night, two strangers wearing the ashes of what used to be love. Then her phone buzzed. The guy Bryce, I later learned, texted her. You okay? Want me to come get you? She didn't move to hide it. Didn't even lock the screen. That's when something inside me went cold. Not angry, just done. I turned away. She grabbed my arm. Michael, please. Don't do this. Don't just walk away. I looked at her, really looked, and saw fear, guilt, confusion, and still somehow love. The twisted, residual kind that refuses to die even after being gutted. I stopped asking, Lisa. I said quietly. You told me to. Remember? Her lips parted. A sound caught in her throat. Then I walked away. 2 weeks later. She's been calling, texting, crying on voicemail. I haven't answered. But last night I posted a photo me on a yacht in Miami. A woman's silhouette just visible beside me. Nothing explicit. Just a shape, a hint. This morning my phone exploded. 10 missed calls. A dozen messages. The last one just said, "So this is what you've become?" I stared at it for a long time, then typed back. You told me to stop asking about your plans. I guess I finally made my own. Sent. No regrets. But the truth is, it doesn't feel like victory. Feels hollow. Like I traded one wound for another. The ocean outside my window glitters like broken glass, beautiful and sharp. Somewhere beneath it, there's a part of me still reaching for her hand. But I let it drown. Because love without honesty isn't love. It's slow suicide. And I've already died once.